Zachary Quinto has appeared in more than 50 films and TV shows, including the big screen blockbuster Star Trek, playing the legendary character Spock.
And now he's taking on a new role as a complicated guy dealing with his mental illness in the new indie film Aardvark, alongside John Hamm and Jenny Slate. Oh my gosh, exciting!
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let's talk about Aardvark first. It's premiering tonight at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yeah.
What was special about this role? Then talk to us a little bit about it for people who don't know.
Sure. I liked the relationships in this movie. It's essentially the story of three people who are lost to themselves and who ultimately find their way through each other. And two brothers and a therapist. That's always a good dynamic.
Yeah.
And,
Two brothers and a therapist.
Yeah, one of the brothers, the brother that I play, is struggling with some mental health issues, which I thought was both relevant and interestingly dealt with in this story. And there's levity to it, actually. There's humor and love in the story, and I thought that those were all, and it's really well written by a good friend of mine, Brian Schoaf, who wrote and directed the film. It's his feature debut. I produced the movie as well, so it's sort of in line with other projects that I've championed in the past.
Wearing many hats there.
John Hamm plays your brother, and you see him in other people.
That's right. We don't really know, the character I play is called Josh Norman, and we don't really know in certain aspects whether some of the relationships he has in the movie are real or figments of his imagination. And that's part of his struggle and part of what he's dealing with in his own mental illness. And he's also been abandoned. His brother left years ago and is a successful actor and sends money, and Josh is sort of left to fend for himself in a lot of ways. And so part of that manifests in these relationships with people that he might be making up as projections of his brother, who he's really longing for and really looking to find again and to bring back in his life in a way.
You must have had to study, you know, mental illness and really get into the...
Yeah, and part of the story also is that it's not specific about what he's suffering from because he doesn't have the resources. And I think, you know, as we look at our own society, it's interesting that people are really struggling in certain ways to find the resources to be able to diagnose properly and treat properly, because many different mental illnesses have many different manifestations. And so one of the things that we're exploring in this film is that Josh doesn't know exactly what he's up against, but he's someone who's really holding on. He's somebody who's really doing his best to be productive and be a relevant member of society in as many ways as he can.
It's going to be fascinating. I was going to be a psychiatrist, actually, studying psychology. So these things fascinate me, and you're right. It's very hard to diagnose a lot of these things, and a lot of blurred lines, and it's important.
That's a whole other segment. I want to hear that story.
Right? Well, I was telling him it's always good when Gloria is a fan, right? Well, I was trying to remember what you said.
Fan.
What was your favorite? His favorite role?
When you did Asylum, I mean, dark, and I'm a horror buff, so
that's
I'm right. Well, of course, I watched Heroes as well, so that's where I first really loved your characterizations and
a lot of dark energy in those characters.
But very interesting always, and a lot of layers.
Yeah, a lot of complexity in them.
And yet you've also played one of the legendary characters, Spock, in Star Trek. Any insight as to what's coming up?
I don't know, Al. You know, we're waiting. I know they were working on a script for another one, and we'll see how that all plays out. But the nice thing about that experience is that, you know, the time in between those big tentpole films allows us to go off and cultivate a lot of different creative experiences for ourselves, being back on stage, doing independent films and things like that I love, that I'm able to do. So I'm hopeful that we'll do another one, but there's no guarantees. So
there are a lot of people who are hoping with you.
Yeah.
Zachary, thank you so much. Aardvark, we should say, is premiering tonight at the Tribeca Film Festival and will be playing through next week. So if you're in the city in New York,
check it out.
Check it out.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.